the squad is, and then we begin the discussion.
Well, George, as expected, some players in the last squad that we predicted were not going to be in this current team indeed have been booted out. But as you mentioned in your intro, Captain Asamoah Gyan is back in the team for the first time since the World Cup qualifier against Congo in Kumasi last year. Mind you, Gyan is coming in despite his lack of game time at club level, Kayserispor. And Gyan's club mate at Kayserispor, Bernard Mensah, has also made a return to the team after a 3-year absence. Mensah obviously has been on top form at his club in the Turkish league, and for me, his inclusion doesn't come as a surprise. Mubarak Wakasu, John Boy, Jonathan Mensah, and Richmond Boachiadom, who were all left out of the team for the last game against Kenya, have been recalled. And surprisingly, Abdul Majid Waris is in the team despite his recent poor form for Ghana. Emmanuel Boateng, who also missed the last match through injury, is back as well as Hibinian midfielder Thomas Ejapon. And Kumasi Asante Kotoko goalkeeper Felix Annan is the only new addition to the team, George.
So George Ado Jr. was speaking to Benedito Usu Dankwa, and that was the Black Star squad. You can get the full details, of the squad on myjonline.com if you want to see it again. But Nathaniel, that's essentially the gist. First of all, any surprises for you?
Not at all. Not at all. Considering the situation we find ourselves in. Gary, you were here. You run commentary on that game, that Kenya. Ghana played against Kenya away. And there were many, reservations expressed about the way the team played and all of that. And then it brought about the conversation about the exclusion of the Ayew brothers, which has always been a subject anytime we don't see them in the team. But guess what? There's the return of the Black Stars captain, and that is the biggest news in the media today. I'm glad about it. And you know the reason why? Okay. Cast your mind back to 2006 when we played in the Africa Cup of Nations. We didn't really post a very good result, but subsequent to that, we went to the FIFA World Cup for our first experience, and we did very well. During that tournament, you'd remember very well that Stephen Appiah wasn't in the best of shape. Okay, but at certain points he was brought in, especially that infamous example of playing with a black jersey against Zimbabwe. You remember that game? 2006. Yes, we couldn't beat Zimbabwe on that game.
Final group game.
Okay, good. And eventually we just put up a very shambolic performance at the Africa Cup of Nations, considering the kind of pedigree that we have as a football nation. If Asamoah Gyan is back, I think that all of us have to be excited about it. I've heard a lot of people do the commentary about his lack of activity. Yes, when you go back, obviously during the Turkish Cup, his club played 5 games. He scored 3 goals in there. During this season, 2018-2019, we haven't seen much of him. On a regular day, the regular football fan would like to see back-to-back activity for the player, which obviously is a very good stance to want to choose a player on. But let's also remember, Gary, that we've had a period during this, during the evolution of the Black Stars of recent times, where we've had a big character like Richard Kingston. Richard Kingston, at a certain point, did not have, he was clubless, yet he was given the opportunity to play in the Black Stars team. Why? Because of the relative levels of experience. Now, this is the dilemma that Kwesi Appiah finds himself in. He's posted a not too good performance. In terms of administration, everything is in shambles. We're trying to get ourselves back with the appointment of a normalization committee.
Sure.
Football fans are heavily expectant, especially when it comes to the flagship product of Ghana, which is the Black Stars team. Therefore, if you go into your qualifiers, which is supposed to be a regular thing for us, remember, we're talking issues of pedigree here. So when you're talking about qualifiers, the Black Stars, this shouldn't be any trouble at all for the Black Stars. We're talking the tournament. You see, we haven't won the tournament for over 30 years, and now that is the focus. Going to the tournament and getting into the finals. All of those things are now regular for the Black Stars because we've grown our pedigree to that stage. And so, when we're talking issues of pedigree with a team like Ghana, Asamoah Gyan is a big block in there. Let us not sit back and downplay his relative levels of experience. Look, on a very, very good day, if all the gods of football and luck smile at us, Gary, and Asamoah Gyan comes in there, doesn't even necessarily need to exert himself too much. He can get in a goal or two. And start nearing the 60 mark for the all-time tally. You understand me? So let us sit back and give Asamoah Gyan the due he has to be given during this time. Look, for me, honestly speaking, at this time, the thing about him not necessarily being very active doesn't come to play at all. Because guess what? when we play Sierra Leone in the first leg
Kumasi,
in Kumasi, if Asamoah Gyan scores a goal or two or gets a hat-trick, everybody will forget about the fact that he hasn't had enough activity this term. You understand me? So let us also give Kwesi Appiah that room to operate. Look, he's been given a job to do. Personally, on a personal level, and I've told him this severally. I met him last Thursday here in Accra, and I told him in the evening. I said, Kwesi Appiah, I've told you already that I'll give up on you after the last Nations Cup, because I believe that once every coach is given an opportunity to work, every condition and every conducive atmosphere should be given to him to operate.
Yeah.
Once he's given that atmosphere, once he's given all of those terms, he's unable to offer or he's unable to get the results, then we start going very hard at him. You see, it's been a very topsy-turvy ride for Kwesi Appiah. I know a lot of people come up with all sorts of definitions and all sorts of, when he doesn't perform. But look, what I'm saying is, let's just give him the atmosphere, let him operate. I have my own reservations about what happened at the last FIFA World Cup. I have my own reservations about everything. But when Milovan Rajevac was here and in his wisdom was inviting Richard Kingston, nobody said anything about it. Guess what? Because anytime Richard Kingston was brought on board, his experience was brought to bear. We all now look back at all of those moments where he does that trademark spread when there's a one-on-one situation with an attacker. I mean, there are several clips from the World Cup and we look back at it with pride, don't we? Yes. So for me, and this is my own stance on this matter, let's just give Kwesi Appiah the room. Let him do what he has to do. But of course, once he gets in there, he's been given the room to operate. Once he gets in there and he doesn't give us the results, yes, we're going to go very, very hard at him. And so this is a standard squad. I mean, there was a lot of advocacy done for our local league. Every time there's that twist.
Yeah.
And of course, around these times as well, when you don't have too much activity, you're looking for some of the best names. And I think that in the goalkeeping department, we have one local player. It's a good thing. I mean, 99.935% is foreign-based players. But look, once we have a goalkeeper in there, it's fine. I think that Richard Ofori, over the period, has proven himself that, look, he can always stand up to the test. And so let's put him there. Let's him be in the number one position. All things being equal, he surely is going to be a safest pair of hands. So for me, I mean, this is a standard, squad. And I don't have any massive disappointments. I mean, yes, we would have loved it if the Ayew brothers were in there, but they are not in there. Let's look forward and let's look at how we can get the results.
Right. Operation 6 points in Kumasi and Freetown. Your comments coming in. Coming up also, we are going to hear from former Black Stars player Sam Johnson, who has given his thoughts to Benedict Owusu on this squad. Don't forget that this show is powered by Bet138.com. It's licensed and regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. They've several shops in Accra, in Alajo, Caprice, Kaswa, Jamestown, Taifa, Sotum, and Teshi. Feel the taste of better odds, endless markets, and prompt payment. They've got live in-play betting as well. Register and bet with Bet138.com to enjoy 200% bonus on your first deposit. So 138.com/Africa. 138.com/Africa. A couple of thoughts coming from you on our Facebook page. Michael Amofa says, Asamoah Gyan again. Let's see what he will do. Derek McWoods Amwati says, couch coaches are already ready to criticize. Meanwhile, we have a job to do. Let's do it. Nana J says, why is Alfred Duncan of Sassuolo? Alvin Edem Kobla says, what at all has Jeffrey Schlupp done wrong? Manuel Eliklin Fabriga says, this is Kwesi Appiah Stars, not Ghana Black Stars. Oskansi Oscar says, Kwesi Appiah does not know what he's doing. Dominic in Kansas says, what is John Boy doing in the squad? Safu Kantanka Sambo says, we can even call Neymar. We are not interested in the Black Stars. Ni Obrimpon says, how many minutes has Asamoah Gyan played since the beginning of the season? And on and on and on. Now, though, let's hear from Sam Johnson.
I think that is what he's doing. We all know what Kwesi Appiah, not we all. Mm-hmm. I know what Kwesi Appiah is doing. He tried to build a team. And at the moment, he is the coach. He knows what he wants. And that is what he's doing. So I think what he's doing now, let's see. So the end of the qualifying,
Okay, Mr.
Then
Johnson,
if you have something to say, then we'll say.
Sam, you talked about Kwesi Appiah building a team, but if you look at the players that he scored, I mean, obviously, this is not a team that you're building. These are already established Black Stars players.
Yeah, that is what I'm saying. From the beginning, that is what we know. So now, the last game, there was a problem with John Boy, but nobody talks about it because he tried to make the team, from the beginning. Everybody was talking blah 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 blah. But at the end of the day, when John Boy was out, there is somebody who is supporting John Boy. The last game, it did not call Asamoah Gyan, Dede Ayew, all the big ones. He didn't call them, and we went there and we did what we have to do. Nothing. I mean, we all know what happened.
All right. So for you, it's a good squad.
Yeah, he's on the good. He's on the good list because he's the coach. He knows what he wants. He knows that okay, this time I need this one. This one should come, and then do it. But the final, that is if God willing, we qualify to the AFCON, then you can talk about it. But now this is what he wants. He needs a striker. He needs somebody who can do something for him. So that is what he wants. And he called the president. That's it. That doesn't mean that he has a problem with any other people. What is happening to them now? It has happened to us before.
Okay, but Mr. Johnson,
for me.
Mr. Johnson, let's move on and look at players that are on form that couldn't make this very squad. The Ayew brothers, Andre and his brother Jordan. Jordan is playing very well at Crystal Palace, same as his brother at Fenerbahce, where you played. Yet these players couldn't make the squad.
That is what I'm saying. He is the coach. He knows what he wants. It's not what I want or what you want or what anybody wants. He is the coach. He is the head coach of the national team. He knows what he wants. So we can judge him on who is calling or who is not calling. But until the final day, that is the AFCON, if we qualify for the AFCON, the last time he didn't call Asamoah Gyan. He didn't call any of them. And we went there and we all saw what happened. So now, okay, let me bring this one. He called one of them. Asamoah is back now. He's going to do it or he's not going to do it. Nobody knows. You understand me? So let us leave it for him to do whatever he wants to do. If he doesn't do what we want or what we think he's supposed to do, that is, we go to the AFCON and then we bring the cap to Ghana. If he can't do that, then we can hang him and do whatever we want to do with him because he didn't call them.
Right.
Now he think he needs Asamoah Gyan, Asamoah come. Now maybe the next match he's going to call all of them.
Sam Johnson speaking there, and look, I tell you what, most of you who have been following my commentary know that I was one of those who was not impressed that Kwesi Appiah was given the job for the second time. I made it public that I thought that based on the first experience, nothing much, and this was my reason, nothing much had changed between the first time until now. No serious upgrade had happened, and for those of us who monitor African football as well, what he was doing in Sudan mattered to us. He essentially didn't do anything really different. He was known as a youth scout and all that. But right now, I tend to agree with Nathaniel and Sam Johnson. Look, Charlie, you've given him the job. Me, personally, I tired this whole Ayew and Asamoah Gyan matter. Give him the job. If he doesn't produce the goods, then as Sam Johnson says in very colorful language, then you hang him. Exactly. Right now we have a qualifier.
And you know what? We're having a conversation a few minutes ago. Myself, yourself, George. Look, Kwesi Appiah seems to be contradicting himself. Yes. In the current scheme of things, that is what it looks like. That the man says that we're building a new team, we're getting new players in there. But look, we are in battle, and in battle, as the general, you deploy different kinds of tactics and put your men in different formations when it matters. And in this situation, after that result against Kenya, you need to deploy different tactics. And that is what I guess the man is doing. And bring in the experienced players and let them get the job done.
Okay, so I'm looking at deploying different tactics. You don't go for, the odd option when you have an even option. You have players who are on form, who are scoring, and I don't know if it's still because you have an issue with the players, you don't want to get them in, and you go for players who are not playing. That totally goes against what you have said since you came in. You see. So I'm saying we have a striking problem, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
So we have players who are scoring goals.
Yeah.
And you don't go for players who are scoring goals, but you go for players who have not had enough game time.
You know,
that's surprising. And so Coach Kwesi Appiah can also go the other way of dealing with the problem. George, the other problem. Why did you get the boys who are scoring?
That's
Someone scores in a Turkish derby, Fenerbahce and Besiktas. That's huge.
Yeah.
And you're talking about form the players have leading to this qualifier. So why do you go back? I want to understand his deploying of tactics. But why do you go back?
If we try to understand the psychology of coaches, I think that Kwesi Appiah has not done himself a whole world of good by all of it. I think his communication, he needs to upgrade a little bit. Sometimes I think that he's not able to communicate his intentions and his actions well.
True.
The reason why we sometimes run into this problem, okay? Because see, for me, if you try to understand too much the psychology of coaches, you're just going to be running around in circles.
Sure.
Because look, for crying out loud, George is putting a very apt point together that everybody would expect an Andre Ayew in the team. However, the man thinks that at this time, let them take a little rest, take a little breather. Let me bring in a few people. Like I said, I maintain on the subject of Asamoah Gyan Gary. I maintain on his subject that, you see, there is a reason why you have a talent like Zlatan Ibrahimovic. There is a reason why the man can just stand on the pitch and think that he is God. He's the God of football. Closes his eyes, there's a ball coming from behind him, and he's able to strike it. Now, for Asamoah Gyan, he's a bittersweet experience for Ghana, and I think that we have to start accepting it at this point.
Take the good with the bad.
Yes, look, but the man doesn't score. You look at his career, look at some of the goals that he scored for the Black Stars, and you realize that, look, how come he was able to score that goal, the ball from behind him against the US?
All sorts of goals.
You know what I'm saying? I'm saying
is that at this point, experience is needed, and that's the reason why we have all of those faces.
So Asamoah Gyan is coming in, if I understand all of this, it's because of the panic that we need goals. And I'm saying that in 2018, African Cup of Nations qualifier, if you're looking for a solution to your goal scoring problem and you go for Asamoah Gyan, after all that we have seen, I think there's a big issue with the coach, a big issue with the scouting, a big issue with what we've got. Because ultimately, I'm thinking about what we have to do at the Africa Cup of Nations.
When we get
we have to go and win it.
Yeah.
So anything we do now are building blocks going to that. So when we need a striker, when we need a goal, and we run to Asamoah Gyan, who's barely played, as the option.
I didn't agree with the first part of the point, but getting
you're getting the picture. Yes. Now I'm getting more worried.
Going forward,
I am getting more worried about how Kwesi Appiah wants to answer these questions.
The only thing
I can go around. I can go around the team, George, if you allow me.
The only thing I'll say to us to that is, you are only as good as the game that is in front of you now.
Yeah.
So for this moment, we can't score goals for some reason. Asamoah Gyan is an option that we are exploring. Bringing him out, he's not getting game time. But like a tournament player, we want him to function in those 90 minutes, possibly maybe score hat-trick, score another hat-trick there. When we get to the Cup of Nations, we'll deal with that problem when we get there. But for now.
Because Gary,
Asamoah Gyan is our best option to score goals.
You know something?
He's not.
Do you know anybody else?
Gary, that's what I'm saying, that Asamoah Gyan is not the best option to score goals.
Do you know anybody else?
What is Jordan Ayew and Andre Ayew doing? Why can't you think about the other angle of the coach saying that, okay, I have to deploy different tactics. So in deploying different tactics, let me get these boys, no matter what they have done. Let me sort it out.
Speaking of Jordan and Andre, in the last hour, I understand that Kwesi Appiah called the brothers.
That's good.
Spoke to them. Spoke to Jordan, to be more precise. He didn't get through to Andre, so sent him a message. But spoke to Jordan and had a lengthy conversation, from what I'm told. Lengthy conversation, and told him essentially that you are still in my plans. I
want to bring Benedict. Benedict will come. You know, we did this profiling of players, and I'm saying that even if we are limiting this thing to Jordan and all, we've still got strikers in there. We're scoring, and we're not looking around the world. We're not looking at the African continent. I'm saying that, you know,
John Entry and those things.
You know, the bigger question is there is a problem with the scouting going around. That's the
I'm happy when you talk about the bigger question.
Yes,
so that it doesn't look like we are focusing on.
You all remember remember good old youthful Kwesi Appiah, light-skinned like you? Don't you all remember him?
Yeah, man.
Okay, very well. What happened to him when he got his opportunity to play in the finals of the Africa Cup of Nations?
He did well.
What happened to him?
He did well.
He did well. Did he score for Ghana? Did Ghana win the Africa Cup of Nations when we
No.
played against Cote d'Ivoire?
No.
The answer is no. And that is my foundation. What I'm saying is, when it gets to a certain point, look, yes, Emmanuel Boateng, we were all so happy, we're all smelling the golden roses when we saw this guy come out of the blocks and score a hat-trick against good old almighty Barcelona. But guess what? We are on a very big
mission.
We're on a very big ground. A big ground that can easily shake a mind that is not tough. You understand me? You're going to Baba Yara Stadium. A Baba Yara Stadium that believes in a lot of hype. On a regular day, when the fans come and gather there, 90% of them are ready to give you the needed hype based on what they know of you. Remember that the first day when Jordan Ayew got the opportunity to play at the Baba Yara Stadium, he didn't give us the best possible game. The same with Kevin Prince Boateng. You all remember, don't you? Okay? So, if you don't have that mental toughness, you are likely not to get it right. And I'm saying to you that considering all the problems that we have in our football at this moment, you need those big names to come in there.
One of those
and
names.
you need their experience to be brought on board. As for the thing about Andre Ayew and his brother, I agree with you.
Yeah.
However, even if we had put Andre Ayew and his brother in there, we surely would have had some 200, 300 people ranting on social media that we didn't put this person in there, we didn't put person Y in there. Right or wrong? Thank you.
So I mean, generally, let's look at it generally in the players that we have called, and that's the other point I'm making, Gary. So I want to see the building of a new team. I want to see the building of a new team. I want to see the calling of players who are having enough, playing time at club level to push them to go. That is where all this argument is going. I think that's where it's actually all going to. And if we're making the case for Asamoah Gyan, then we can equally make the case for Kevin Prince Boateng. And initially when that started, I thought was so stretched, such a stretched argument, and why would you want to bring Kevin Prince Boateng? But here we are trying to answer questions and trying to deploy different tactics. That's Kevin playing very well. If it's Sausulo in there, so how about that?
Right.
Because clearly the coach is showing that going forward is difficult. He can't really trust the young boys, and he's going back on the old one. Then we have a lot of old guys to follow.
Fantastic. So, interestingly, 20 minutes to the top of the hour here on 99.7 Joy, and the show is the Joy Sports Track, and it's sponsored by Bet138.com. How would you feel when finally, after that long search, you find that place where all you do is win? Make a move to 138.com, the best sport betting and virtual gaming company in town. Register and bet with us to enjoy 200% bonus on your first deposit. That's www.138.com/Africa. Feel the taste of better odds, endless markets, and prompt payment. They've got live in-play betting as well. Visit any of the retail shops: Teshi, Sotuom, Taifa, Jamestown, Kaswa, Caprice, Alajo. 138.com is licensed and regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. This is the Joy Sports Track. We are shifting gears. If you have any questions on the Asamoah Gyan issue, the Kwesi Appiah caller, please head over to our Facebook page. We do have a lot of comments there as well.
Pogba once again, and Pogba drills the ball in. Pogba strikes it left-footed. Cheryshev waits for it to come. Brilliant first touch. Oh, what a goal! And that is quality from Denis Cheryshev. And the ball is headed across the lead by Dele Alli. And Tottenham take the lead against the leaders. Messi, cute angle. Goal number 100 in the UEFA Champions League for Lionel Messi. And goal number 3 of the night for Barcelona.
It returns tomorrow, and there's only one place to savor it.
Joy 99.7 FM.
Yes, that's us. We'll be here again tomorrow to take you through the UEFA Champions League. They say it's the greatest club competition in the world. Myself and George Ado Jr. will be here again. Georgie.
Yeah, Gary.
Yeah, man.
Should be really good.
What we got? What we got?
Yeah, so tomorrow, like we did last on match day 1, 2 weeks ago, that's match day 1. We have a very good game, I think. We've got Manchester United versus Valencia. That's the game, our featured game. That's what we're running live commentary on. But we'll be giving you updates from the other games. I think up to 5 of them, yes?
Yeah.
And now the Manchester United-Valencia game is a very special game. And you know why? Because of what Manchester United have gone through in the last 3-4 games. So anything is possible in this game, clearly, because Valencia have fantastic players who can give Manchester United enough trouble at Old Trafford. I mean, in fact, Dan Wolves did, or Dan West Ham did in London, or Dan Derby County did. There should be a bigger test. And Jose Mourinho has said he's really going to step up. Those who think he's going to be losing to Valencia, you have to be looking elsewhere. And that's a very bold statement, but we're yet to see how that goes. So that's a good game, really good game to look forward to. Valencia versus Manchester United. So as a Manchester United fan, I'm sure.
So Insaki joins us in the studio as well. And an overview of the game.
Well, if you look at it, the record of Spanish clubs coming to Old Trafford recently has been quite poor for United. Sevilla were the ones that eliminated United from the last Champions League. So at the back of their mind, we know that Valencia will also be pulling a big threat because it's also a very young side with very good players coming in to pull a lot of threats. Manchester United themselves having defensive issues. They'll be facing a lot of threats from Michi Batshuayi, who will also be leading the attack of the Valencia team.
Yeah.
And it looks like...
Michi. He set a small record recently as... there was this record. He scored in the Bundesliga. He scored in France. He scored in England, and he scored also in Spain. Can't remember. That was a record. Yeah.
So quite a number of players in Valencia squad who have played in England. I think you remember Gabriel Paulista. Yeah, they're good players in coming. Also, Coquelin, Alex, all coming in the squad there.
Gonzalo Guedes is a young Portuguese player.
Very exciting guy.
Very exciting player. So Valencia is going to put a lot of threats. Mourinho needs to put up his guns. Now at the moment, Matic has spoken. They said that they are Manchester United and they know that teams are going to give them pressure, but it looks like the youngsters in their team or the whole team as a whole didn't psych themselves that teams are going to come to Old Trafford or give them so much pressure. But at the moment, they know that every game they need to put in all. So Valencia, if they are able to win, they can start their confidence from there, and then United could pick up.
I don't want to talk about the off-the-pitch issues. I mean, there are a lot of column inches have been dedicated to that. But on the field itself, let's look at Man United. What exactly is wrong with the team? Is it the setup of the team? Is it the attitude of the players? What do you reckon is the issue?
Well, I mean, it comes from the off-the-pitch stuff. But if you look at them on the field...
even though I don't want to talk about it, we have to.
We have to. Because it
feeds into it.
It comes from that side. But then let's just not take out of it. If you look at this, the West Ham game. Let's concentrate on the field. The West Ham game, what happened? The first goal was an offside, although. But then if you look at their defensive setup, a 5-back defense, and still they were able to penetrate. I don't understand why Mourinho had to approach that game with the 3-back system, whereby this West Ham team haven't even won a game in this season. Like, I mean, 4 games they haven't won one. At home they've been in trouble. So if you're going to play against West Ham, whereby in the midweek you lost a game against Derby County, I expect you to definitely go the game or attacking. You're Manchester United. West Ham themselves are scared of you coming there. So if you come and put in a system whereby you are defending with a 5-back and you put in a youngster McTominay, part of that back 3, then I don't know how you want to play this game. You had Eric Bailly, who's a central defender, on the bench. You decided to put in McTominay, a teenager who's also a central midfielder, and you added into the 3-back. And you look at the first goal and the second goal, there were goals that came from his side, and I don't blame him at all. He's a youngster, inexperienced. He's allowed to make mistakes. But the manager, why would you have to approach that game in such a manner?
You know what? Even when Manchester United fans say
United, I'll let you make your points quickly. United are having their press conference now. So let me read some live comments. Jose Mourinho speaking says, a Champions League week is always a good week. Even if you expect a difficult match, a difficult opponent, it's a big week. Everyone wants to play the Champions League, and not everyone can do it. He also says that everybody in the club has a role to play. The kitman has a role to play. The nutritionist has a role to play. I have a role to play. Everyone has a role to play. When we win, we all win. And when we lose, we all lose. Nemanja Matic says the pressure is always there, but we are not scared to play. It's a challenge when every team wants to beat Man United. He goes on to say, when you play for United, everyone expects you to win. When you don't win a few games in there, or when you don't win a few games in a row, there's tension and more of it for you. We will try to make everybody happy and to do everything to make their fans happy as well. Juan Mata also speaking. He spoke to Valencia's official website. He says, obviously, it's a very special game. Valencia is a club and a city in which I had great experiences, and I still have fantastic memories of the people, the club, and the fans. And the other question interesting is will Antonio Valencia feature against his namesake club here as well? So,
well, you see, I was just talking about it. Even when Manchester United say they had set up defensively, they were not taking up defensive roles as much as they were expected to. So you know that you are coming up against an attacker who's left-footed. Yeah. He's looking to get the ball on his left foot to shoot, and nobody makes an attempt to want to stop him. And that was absolutely poor.
Yeah, I mean, surprising because Mourinho said that they worked on Yarmolenko, and they know that anytime he's on his left foot, he comes inside. So we don't know how he's able to score a goal with something that he said you've learned about.
So that's why it's difficult to try to undermine what's happening, off the pitch. Because the players don't really look like they are into whatever Jose Mourinho has told them to do.
Yeah.
What's worse, I was having a look at the bench of Manchester United, even when they were down by 3-1. Everybody looked unconcerned, and that's a worry. So forget about Jose Mourinho. He's trying to, get some very good mood and try and see if he can work on the atmosphere a bit going into this. This game is difficult and than young boys than anybody now. Because
it's not clicking.
I don't know how
Lukaku was absent-minded 90 minutes.
I don't know how they're sorting themselves out in midfield. I don't know how they're doing that. They've not had too much support from the wings, as we know. And defensively, they're not. And when it comes to the striking options as well, you know what to expect. You know what to expect from Lukaku anyway. By this time, if a Chelsea fan is complaining about Morata or a United fan is complaining about Lukaku, I'm like, what are you talking about? You need to get your midfielders here up there to show exactly what Lukaku is doing. I think Manchester United have issues, and Valencia are cool, calm, and collected for this one.
So we'll be keeping an eye on the other games as well, won't we? So there's Hoffenheim, Man City. Should be very attacking.
Very attacking. And after what we saw between Manchester City and Lyon, I mean, going away to Germany makes it an interesting game. That Hoffenheim will be hoping that they get their fans behind them.
Juventus also play young boys.
There's no Cristiano Ronaldo, but it's fine.
No Cristiano, but
that's fine.
But his contribution has been good for Juventus, even though he's not been bagging.
Now that's a big one. Bayern Munich and Ajax.
Ajax.
Because Bayern are surprising us lately.
Bayern are surprising us in a bad way.
What they're doing in the German Bundesliga, I don't quite know. It's difficult to say they're low in quality or they don't know what they're about, because they started the season very well. And almost all the big clubs, I have to say, look like they're going through some mini bad patches, I should say. Barcelona failing to get results, Real Madrid failing to get results. Maybe it's just the time for it. Bayern having issues. So, I actually feel they have a chance. But I think a Champions League is a different animal, I think.
So the 5 games we'll be looking at, the games we just spoke about, that's Juve, Young Boys, and Hoffenheim, Man City will kick off early. Both will kick off early because of the new times. We spoke about that the other week. Roma versus Pilsen will be playing, and that's a game we'll be looking at as well. Lyon Shakhtar will be at the same time kicking off as the Man United Valencia game, so we'll be keeping an eye on that. And then AEK Benfica, Bayern Ajax, and CSKA Real Madrid. The last time they went, they routed Roma by 3-0. So we see how this one.
Just on that Lyon Shakhtar, the next game. If Lyon are able to get a win at home, they've set themselves up for something really good. The next stage already, and already that group will be looking very dicey.
All sorts
for anyone there.
Of tasty. And then on Wednesday,
and on Wednesday
here as well.
Wednesday our featured game is Barcelona Spurs. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, Spurs will be looking to complete their assault on the Spanish hierarchy, because they were able to beat Real Madrid last season, and they've got Barcelona coming by. And they're having Barcelona not, in the kind of mood we expected Barcelona to be in, scoring left and right. They've had some interesting results. I have to use the word interesting because at this point it's difficult to say, Barca are totally in form. They've got so many players, but I mean, putting them together has been a problem. And they have lost games in key moments. It's not that they have not played well. If you watch Barcelona, they've played well, they've had chances, but they've lost games in key moments. I think the game against the Ghana, like for instance, they lost that game just in like 4 minutes. And the draw with Athletic Bilbao, so it should be a big one. But Spurs playing at Wembley, let's hope that they can put this in. They've also not been too convincing, even though they've won the last 2 games.
Napoli, Liverpool. So let me tell you what happened off air when we were trying to choose the games for you. It came up strongly that part of the news, Joy Sports team, were gunning for us to go for Napoli Liverpool.
I was gunning.
George wanted Napoli Liverpool, but because we have done Liverpool already in one of the games, we just felt that we should look at. I mean, Barca is a team with a huge following here as well, and so in terms of listenership, we thought that.
And I agree now because Napoli's performance against Juventus wasn't really exciting, and it doesn't really set up that. Liverpool, good game against Chelsea.
Teams are not as exciting as Sarri's
so I think we go with the Barcelona Spurs, knowing that anything can happen to Barcelona if Spurs do what's right. But if they can do what's right, and what's right means you have to keep Messi out. That's not easy.
Out, and
the crazy night.
The dependence on Messi. Whoa, the dependence on Messi is something else, isn't it? So
it is very well.
I mean, when you watch the last game, even
and you can tell that Barcelona always want to depend on Messi. And anytime they are in trouble, they want to look for Messi to build them out. And even when it comes to the set pieces, everything, they know that it's Messi. And I mean, who are you not to give Messi the chance?
It's not that you are not giving him the chance, but I think that the Barca fans, the argument is that, look, as good as he is, age is not on his side.
One day,
he's going to grow old. So the contingency, and he has to start getting rested a bit now. Sometimes a couple of minutes here and keep him fresh.
There's a problem with La Masia failing to get a replacement, and then if you look at gradually, the La Masia kids are not getting the chance to come through, and Barca is buying new players. And
I don't know if La Masia is going to find a replacement
for Messi. That's the thing, Charlie. Assuming La Masia were even functioning
because even Iniesta and Xavi haven't replaced us now. So how much?
Assuming La Masia were functioning at 100%, and La Masia is what? The oven.
Yeah.
So assuming the oven were operating at full power, Charlie, the bread, you won't get a bread like Messi.
Because like you're talking the last game, Messi comes on and
he hits the bar. He hits the bar, changed the game.
And the movement, you see, that's the thing. I don't want to go back talking about Messi and how he plays.
We know.
There will never be a player like Messi.
So La Masia, I'm sorry, but let's hope that it works out.
At least, I mean, let's see a future. Let's see people coming.
But they shouldn't be having problems now, Barcelona. If they've got quite a number of players.
Maybe
in defense.
But Suarez is not as sharp as Suarez.
Suarez clearly, but maybe in defense we'll have to be slightly cautious. But aside that, I think Barcelona have got a lot of talent on that pitch.
In terms of midfield,
when they switch into third gear, is something else. I mean, really, all the guys on the. Malcolm, all the guys.
So Real Madrid, what's happened to them as well? Anybody have an idea what's happened to Real?
I don't know.
Real Madrid, it looks like the transition with their new manager Lopetegui is trying to get his new team with the youngsters. He's trying to be Asensio, the Vasquez. He's trying to build a new team around them. The fact that Ronaldo is out, that void is still there, and they'll be feeling it a lot. And maybe by seasons to come, if the new youngsters, which is Asensio, is able to carry the team, or anyone, Mariano, someone that's going to be scoring the numbers that, or maybe trying to get closer to Ronaldo's numbers, maybe Ronaldo.
And the thing about Ronaldo is you can't run away from the effect he has had.
Exactly.
On Real Madrid and on Juventus, because I'm watching the game this weekend and look, he didn't score, but I mean he was
definitely. You feel Ronaldo.
No, you felt his presence. I was watching the Juve fan account on Twitter. It was the verdict was unanimous. The guy brings a certain presence that you cannot deny. You look at the free kick that led to the goal, the cross that came where he flicked on for the goal to be scored. In fact, he had a hand in all three goals.
That's true. But for the Real Madrid situation, I know some Madrid fans will want to criticize Lopetegui for some of the decisions he's taking. But look, Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, that game, Madrid had all the chances to score. I mean, I don't understand how that game ended goalless, because they all had chances to score.
Maybe they didn't have a poacher.
Well. So sometimes the results don't exactly reflect what happened in the game. I don't know what's happening.
That's exactly what happened with Ghana versus Kenya. We created all the chances, but we are blaming Kwesi Appiah.
I don't know how the Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid game didn't have a goal, but they did everything they had to do. And against Sevilla, they knew what they were going up for. So that was a game that I think, like in boxing, you can walk into a bad punch and you go down. I mean, it was all quick, and 3 goals. There was just no way to come back. Even the goal they scored was VAR ruled that off. So it's part of it.
Right.
I think Madrid are still cool enough to do what they know how to do.
So, George, what's the plan for tomorrow and Wednesday?
Yeah, so we take over Newsnight at 6:30. Newsnight will be truncated. So at 6:30 we start our build-up, and we'll start with talking about the games that have taken place at 16:55, 4:55. Those games will have ended. Then we go through that, and we'll get into our game, which is the Manchester United Valencia game. During commentary, we'll take your messages. We will be interacting with you on our Twitter handle as well. And you know that you have to use the hashtag JoyUCL. And what's important is, whilst we're going through that game, we'll be giving you updates to date, on the 5 other everything games that is happening, 5 other games. And we're going to do the same thing on Wednesday when we come your way with Barcelona and Spurs. So should be pretty exciting. And we've got some of our guys running through a halftime to come and give you a report of what happened in some of the key games we know you'll be chasing. So it should be really good. Really good done.
So that's the plan for the Champions League on Tuesday and Wednesday. Champions League
like tomorrow
on Joy. Tomorrow as well. So, in predictions for our games, the games we are running commentary on.
Man U fan having to predict. Okay, what's he going to say?
Valencia.
Wow, Valencia.
Who is winning this game?
Not what your heart feels. Not what your head feels.
A goalless draw.
That's what you're going for at Old Trafford.
Well, you have to be honest.
The state of the I know some people with Charlie's might be say Charlie Egbele, Charlie
the state of the club. You can't.
The thing about Jose Mourinho though is sometimes when you think he's down,
exactly.
Those are the nights where he'll give you some punchy, like Arsene Wenger. Where you think is going down, then you go into the Champions League and win. Giddy.
Even if Jose Mourinho is going to pull one masterstroke, this is going to be very difficult. This team.
So what's the prediction for Wednesday as well? Barca Spurs. That's a game I want to see.
Well, Barca Spurs.
Is anybody going to defend?
I'm still going to go with Barca because Spurs themselves, their form hasn't really been. You can't say the Spurs of last season, the Spurs of this season. So I think Barca will take it away, maybe 2-0.
2-0 it is. So the UEFA Champions League commentary is brought to you by the Joy Sports team, produced by us for you, for us by us, Fubo. And that's how we call it a show today on the Joy Sports track. Show's been produced by the team, and I'm Gary Al Smith. We will be back, of course, with more on our subsequent bulletins tomorrow 6:30. Join me for the build-up. Bye-bye.